Hi everyone, Joe Kehrig with the Kehrig Real Estate Team, and this is your San Ramon Valley neighborhood update for the week of March 8th. We're going to dive right into the graphs because, a year ago I started these videos when started the lockdown at COVID, and the one question I got more than any was, hey, is this going to be 2007, 2008? Is this going to be a crash? And for months, I shared the graphs and the information on why this was not going to be 2007 or 8. Well, a year later, the market has gone nuts more than I've seen in 43 years of the business, with the appreciation and the supply and demand being so much out of whack. There being so much more demand than there is supply. And so it's funny because it's going to completely 180 as far as the real estate market. And the number one question I get today, hey Joe, is this a bubble that's going to be like, 2007, 2008? So completely different market, but the same question. So I want to, again, share some graphs with you on why this is not a bubble in the real estate market. And we'll talk about that in a second. But let's look at the graphs, and that will kind of give you an idea. First, in San Ramon, the good part about the market right now, and you'll see in the graphs for the most part, what was happening last year was, it started with, basically inventory pretty even, the supply and demand. But then what would happen is the sales started ticking up as interest rates went down, and the inventory, went down as pending sales went up, creating a huge, seller's market where we're still getting, there were two properties, one that my team wrote on that got 34 offers, and no, we didn't get the property. So there's still a lot of demand, but these were properties around $1 million, single family, low end of the price range. But we're still getting 5, 10, 15, 20 offers sometimes on properties that are, 2 million, $1.5 million. So, but let's look at the graph for San Ramon. One thing you'll notice in this market, what's happened in the last couple of weeks, is look at the pendings staying pretty consistent. But look at the active sales. They're also staying pretty consistent. So what we're starting to see, and we'll start to see more homes come on the market as we get into, the springtime, early summer. But there's still just so much demand that for a number of reasons, that this market is going to stay a seller's market, in the foreseeable future. Now, someone asked me the other day, because interest rates ticked up a little bit, hey, Joe, what about if interest rates go up? Because of inflation, the government might raise the interest rates. They manipulate the interest rates to try to control the market. And so if they raise the interest rates, there's no doubt the demand will go down. But what's going to happen with the supply? Okay, so if you refinance and you're in a 2.75% interest rate, and interest rates are now 5%, are you going to sell your home? No, you're going to basically, die in your home, because you don't want to give up that 2.75% interest rate. So even though the government might step in and maybe try to slow down the inflation and keep prices down, it will still be a strong seller's market, because now that will create even less, demand out there, or less supply out there. So when you look at San Ramon, it stayed pretty consistent, which is good. When you see that the actives now are keeping track of the pendings, that's a good sign. Definitely better than we've had the last year. Well, when you look at Danville, my God, I can't get any more consistent than that. The pending sales, again, are high. You can see the market's really out of balance. There's a lot more pendings than there are actives. But at least everything is staying pretty consistent. Now, Blackhawk, you see, obviously, actives are up, pendings are down. That will change in the next week. I mean, Blackhawk, because there's so little inventory, now that we've got some inventory, you'll probably see the pendings go up next week. I mean, you can't buy what's not there. So that's why the pendings went down, because the inventory was so low. So, but that's still a good sign to see more places coming on the market. Alamo, same thing. You actually see pending sales down a little bit and actives up, which is definitely a good sign if you're a buyer out there to see more inventory. And there will be more inventory, like I mentioned before, but still it's going to be a seller's market, because there's so much demand out there for inventory. And we look at Dublin, again, pending sales up, active properties up. So that's a good sign that we're starting to see more stuff come on the market. Now, this is where it's crazy. When you look at the sold price to list price percentage, I mean, we're averaging almost 110%, so $1.5 million home is basically the average price is 150,000 over asking. $1 million home, 100,000 over asking. Because now that we're going to get more inventory, let's look, not right away, because I mean, there were like 2 homes this last week that got 34 offers that probably went, it was $1 million home, probably went for 300,000, 30% over asking. So you're going to see this, but this is a good telling point, because if you remember 3 or 4 months ago, if you're watching my videos, we were all about 98 to 100%. Well, then the markets continued to go nuts, and you can see that it's averaging 110%, 10% over asking on the average. So that means obviously there's a lot of homes selling for even more than that. So it comes down to the question, Joe, is this a bubble? Is this 2008 again? Well, for the reasons I've already mentioned, it's not going to be. But if you want to see the differences between 2008 and now, let's look at some of these things. First off, in the recession, the Great Real Estate Recession, people used their homes like a piggy bank. They literally took out in 2005 through 7, $824 billion of equity. Well, you can see in 2018, 19, and 20, 348. So, way less than half. The percent of median income needed to purchase a median price home. So you can see that today, obviously, it's much stronger, the percentage of your income needed, because remember, people are putting more money down. One of the stats that we always talk about is that 56% of the people have over 50% equity. Single family houses, units completed, 4 consecutive years of record setting number of units in 2005. So 2005, the builders were building like crazy. So even though prices kept going up, there was so much inventory. So when the market crashed, there was all this inventory. Well, look at 2010 through 2020, 13 straight years below the 50-year average. Now you can see it's climbing up a little bit, through 2015 and 2020, but still, it is, we just don't have enough inventory out there, and it's so difficult to build, especially in California with the regulations and such forth. I heard something the other day that literally in Houston, a home that would cost $200,000 literally costs $1 million in California. Now that's labor costs, but it also has so much to do with time. The longer it takes a home to build, the more carrying costs, the more expensive, but also just the regulations and the costs to build. Months inventory of existing single-family homes, where you can see that, through 2005 and 7, it got all the way. Remember, there were so many new construction. There was almost 10 months of inventory. So when the market crashed, there was all these homes. Well, look at this. It's a 2.1. Now, remember, they say anything below 5 is a seller's market. So obviously, since 2017, it's been a seller's market. But when you look at our inventory, we talk about weeks inventory on the market. In other words, if nothing else came on, how long would it take to burn off the inventory? We're sitting at probably like 2 weeks with the graphs of most of the stuff I showed you. But the national average is 2.1. So you can see that even that's another reason. Everything is supply and demand. There's no supply. In 2007, there was a lot of supply out there. Annual home appreciation. Now, we'll see it go up, and you can see, it's gone up 10% over the year nationwide. But look what it was doing in 2004 and 2005 before the crash. Even much higher appreciation than now. It was as crazy then as it is now. The difference is people were getting 100% financing, where we have 56% of the people that have over 50% equity. So at some point the market will correct, but again, we're not going to see the crash like we did there. And this gets into that, the default risk in the mortgage market, 1999 to 2020. Now, the product risk, because you can see all the way up to 2008, the product risk was so high because they had so much stated income loans, funny money loans. We call them ninja loans, no income, no job, no assets. So And that's what was happening in 2007 or 8. They got rid of a lot of that stuff. And then obviously you can see that it's continuing to gone down. So the borrower risk is very, very low, when the market does correct. So again, I just wanted to share. I've been sharing those all year with you, but it's so funny. I was thinking when someone asked me that question the other day, of why, hey, is this a bubble and are we going to go in 2007 or 8 again? It was funny because that was the number one question that I got a year ago, and the market's obviously gone 180 degrees, on how strong it is. And I'm still getting that question, but obviously for different reasons. So again, if you like these videos, please tap the like button and hit the subscribe button and click on the bell if you want to receive alerts on new videos that we coming out weekly. Now, everyone's situation is a little bit different. If you want to know a little bit more about your house or just kind of getting an idea, every home and every neighborhood is just a bit different. Definitely, whether you're a buyer or seller, this is something that if you thought about selling, it's something you should at least have a conversation about. We're just consultants and advisors. So when we sit down, we give you the information we can. You put it together with all your other information, and you make the best decision, for you. So feel free to give us a call. Again, Joe Kehrig, 925-487-6838. Email me at joe@kehrigteam.com, or visit our website, learn a little bit more about us at www.kehrigteam.com. Stay safe, stay healthy. We're hoping that we're getting on the other side of this COVID, and I think schools are supposed to open up in Contra Costa, next week. So be safe. May God bless you and your family, and may God bless the United States of America.